Here to discuss the disparaging emails and the implications of those emails is Washington attorney Cleta Mitchell, a partner at the firm Foley Lardner, and of course, for purposes of full disclosure, a few years back, Cleta was my legal counsel back when I served in Congress and dealt with campaign law and various sundry other matters too. The law and Lois Lerner, Cleta. Is this now the smoking gun, or is this just more buzz given the content of the emails?
Well, look, JD, it's always wonderful to be with you. What we know, those of us who've worked in and around with Lois Lerner for many years, we've always known that she was biased against conservatives and against Republicans. And this just merely confirms that here this woman was leading the tax-exempt group of the Internal Revenue Service, the highest ranking person within the exempt organizations unit. And rather than being an unbiased, neutral, nonpartisan person, she actually had an agenda and has always had an agenda. And it included, in particular, being hostile to conservatives. And you see her attitude toward conservative groups and all. And this is not anything new, but it really does just confirm that what we've known just from her actions, now we know from her exact words what her thought process was. And I think that that's exactly why this IRS targeting scandal began, because she began to get listening to the President of the United States, attacking conservative groups, listening to members of Congress publicly and privately communicating to the IRS about doing something, about silencing conservative groups. So she was really taking a cue to do something she wanted to do anyway.
Now,
so
obviously,
that's really, I think, the importance of this.
And Cleta, obviously, a lot of sensational headlines surrounding the words I'm not going to mention here, but more to the content of these emails. To your degree of satisfaction, do these emails definitely prove that Lerner was deliberately targeting conservative groups for special scrutiny?
Well, I don't think there's any question about that. If you look at the documents that have been released by the IRS to the congressional investigating committees, it's clear that any organization for a period of 27 months at the IRS, the IRS did not grant a single application for exempt status to any conservative, Tea Party, limited government type advocacy organization. Imagine that. For 27 months, these groups' applications were, every IRS agent was instructed, I've seen the documents, they were instructed that if any of these types of entities came through with an application, they were to be quarantined, literally sent to a special unit in Cincinnati where they sat there awaiting instructions from Washington. It's like getting on an airplane and sitting there and being told to sit on the tarmac and waiting for approval from the radar tower to allow you to take off. That's what it boiled down to. And except that the instructions from the tower never came to take off. They were told to wait. And they kept being told, we're going to give you some instruction and guidance from Washington, which never came. And so what these groups received instead were oppressive, burdensome, intrusive questionnaires asking all kinds of intrusive questions about what the groups did, who was speaking, do you have transcripts of the speeches given by candidates and elected officials? I mean, really bizarre kinds of questions that really violated their First Amendment rights.
Now,
and she presided over all that.
Cleta, my old committee, the Ways and Means Committee, now presided over by Dave Camp, Chairman Camp sending a letter to Attorney General Eric Holder urging him to conduct a formal investigation. Is there any way on earth, even with the new emails, that Eric Holder will step up now and actually mount a true investigation?
Well, look, what the House has done is passed a resolution requesting that Eric Holder appoint a special prosecutor. And that's really, I think, the most important thing here, is that the Justice Department is really conflicted in trying to conduct an investigation. The Justice Department is a witness. There are all kinds of, now we know, evidence of situations where Lois Lerner had gone to the Justice Department, the Office of Public Integrity, and turned over a list of a database of 12,000 citizens groups, mainly conservative citizens groups, to see if there was a way they could construct criminal prosecutions against these groups. Can you imagine that? Because they formed a citizens group to support or oppose a particular Obamacare or whatever it was, and she turned over a database of 12,000 groups, and she was working with the Office of Public Integrity to see if there was a way to initiate criminal investigation and prosecution. Well, now the Office of Public Integrity is supposed to be investigating Lois Lerner. Now, I think that's a conflict of interest, because we want to know more about what public integrity was doing. So, you know, the House members have done, I think, everything they can do to try to publicly demand that Eric Holder appoint a special prosecutor, but he is the Obama enforcer-in-chief. He's not the chief law enforcement officer. He is enforcing Obama's political agenda. And he is stonewalling, and he's not doing anything.
Cleta, speaking of politics, when you consider the fact that I believe prior to her work at the IRS, Lois Lerner was at the Federal Elections Commission. Talk about a chilling effect. There's a lot more to this story. Attorney Cleta Mitchell,
yes,
we thank you very much for your time and your insights. We will be calling on you again in the not too distant future, I'm sure.
Well, thank you, JD. It's always nice to be with you.
So you heard Cleta's take on this. The saga, the scandal involving Lois Lerner continues. Why don't you tweet us your comments on this? You can tweet them to at Newsmax TV, hashtag America's Forum. There's also newsmaxtv.com/comment. And don't forget Facebook. We're coming right back.